Hey guys, welcome to episode 22 of Operation PlayStation, powered by Audio Technica. I'm one of your hosts, Dash, along with my co-host, Mr. Paul James. What is going on, Padge?
1 week until next gen begins. Sure, it's the shitty way to start things with Xbox, but 1 week till the next generation begins, and that's exciting.
Look, you know
the main event's a week and 2 days away.
We're 9 days from recording this, but it'll be 8 from the day that this goes live. It's still a week and a day. And oh my god, dude, the excitement is just at an all-time high. I can't wait to get my hands on this thing, man, because I've seen so many videos, so many unboxings of people like even handling just the controller itself and talking about the haptic feedback on it. I'm salivating. There's
little bits of that I'm trying to avoid just because it does. I had a conversation, I think it was with Buddy online on Twitter the other day. Actually, I think there's a few people involved, but I just like some of this shit does deflate me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that I think like if I was Joe Citizen, I didn't know any of these people that actually had the consoles, then it wouldn't hurt so bad. But right now, it's like, I know you. Yeah. I want to be in your shoes right now. I love you. You're awesome. You're the best. Let's say Shannon. Shannon, I love you, mate, but careful. Seriously, I'm really, really jealous of you right now. So if you can just, I don't know, ship it down my way for a day or two. Just
why not?
Throw a guy a bone. Shannon,
Guys,
I know you're listening. Come on.
You listen to every episode. Guys, if you didn't know.
Because we shout him out 50 times per episode.
You listen to Operation PlayStation-Gamer.com's dedicated PlayStation podcast, where we dive deep and dirty and discover what the latest and greatest in PlayStation has to offer, including next week's gaming. If you like what you hear, make sure that you follow us over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Make sure you give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. They surely help us out. And also catch the VOD over on dashgamer.com and on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that bell, give us a like, leave us a follow, all that jazz. That really helps us out. Padge, give us your housekeeping.
The most recent episode of Dev Diary with Amanda and Bill Gardner still live. We spoke about that as the upcoming guest last time we had an episode.
Yep.
But this week's coming guest, I literally just hit go on the tweet to announce who those people were about 30 seconds ago as of this recording. Kitty Callis and Jan Willem Neiman, who are responsible for the likes of Minute, most recently Disc Room. But they've both kind of splintered off and gone different directions at different points. So Kitty was actually working on Horizon Zero Dawn back in the day.
Very cool.
And JW was working, well, he's one half of Lambeer. So with Rami Ishmael and all that over the journey as well. So not that the studio's active anymore. They're finishing up their last game and then that's it for that studio.
Mm-hmm.
But both of them have been kind of bouncing off each other over the journey. They're working together most recently with Disc Room, a game that just came out to PC and Switch a week or two ago.
Yep.
Presumably it'll come to PS4 or PS5 at some point, but not just yet. Either way, they were on the show and had some really cool stories to share. So that's the episode that goes live this Thursday at 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Then as far as some written content's concerned, I did a review for Raise the Dead.
Yep.
A very long, well, it was a tormented development period. I mean, you might remember it was first debuted at like the PS4 reveal event pretty much.
Yeah.
And only came out like a week or two ago.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I went through Kickstarter hell, all that sort of thing, but came out the other side and it's a pretty solid game. It's not stellar, but it's a pretty solid game.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a co-op piece with Dylan on Doom Eternal's first round of DLCs. You can expect to see that the next day or so. The other thing I should also shout out is the Player 2 Marathon.
Yes.
Dash, I'm going to get you to drop a link in the show notes for this one, if you could.
Yes.
But the 24-hour marathon is going to begin on the 21st of November. We've almost raised half of our fundraising goal already.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we get there in the next day or two, halfway. It'd be nice to have the $4,000 raised before the event even starts. But that's reaching a little bit. The 24-hour marathon for the Terry Campese Foundation kicks off November 21st. Matt's going to be doing the bulk of the work in Canberra. I'm not allowed to fly interstate, so I'll be doing some multiplayer stuff from here. But it'll be good fun, good times. So check all the details in the show notes.
Please do head over to player2.net.au and also follow them over at player2au on Twitter. to find out all the information you need to know to donate to the Play 2 charity marathon. There's some huge prizes in that one, Padge. There's an Xbox Series X, I believe.
Yeah, that console that you can't play any games on. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good get. Matt's done a great job. Xbox has obviously really came to the party. It helped that they provided us with a console for review that Matt's now keeping as his own.
Yep.
And then his one that he bought has now become the number one prize there. But then with all the games that have come in from third-party publishers as well, he's added to that Series X with then there must be about 15 different games as well as merch from the likes of 2K and Ubisoft and a whole bunch, like there's I think Yakuza games in there, if I recall.
Nice.
I don't know. I can't remember what's what. There's a shit ton of stuff. There's photos all over the internet. So go and check that out because not only are you getting a Series X, but you're also getting a ton of titles as well. So,
fantastic. Well, make sure you guys go check that out at play2.net.au. For Dash Gamer, we have a Watchdogs Legion review. Thanks to the kind folk over at Ubisoft that provided the review code on that one. Ghostrunner, thanks to All Interactive, and Dark Pictures, A Little Hope. Thanks to Bandai Namco. We'll be talking about those today in tonight's today's episode of Ops, and also a preview of SAKUNA. What's it called? The Rice
of Rice and Ruin.
Of Rice and Ruin. There you go. I've only played about an hour of it. Padge has played the bulk of it, so Padge will be able to fill me in more on what's happening.
Preview impressions. We are constrained as to how much we can talk about. But
we are
yes.
under embargo, so it will be a preview, not a review. But we'll talk about what we can talk about thus far of it. But the rest of those titles there we will be reviewing at the tail end of this week's episode. And also, Operation PlayStation Cross for the Plays, our Spider-Man Road to Miles Morales special is now live on podcast services and on YouTube. Make sure you guys head over to dashgamer.com and check that out. It is live right now. The guys over at For the Plays from the Pop Culture Shrine and Max joined myself and Paul as we sat down and rediscovered the magic of Marvel's Spider-Man on PlayStation 4. Obviously, with Miles Morales out, we'll be coming back together once more for our part 2 of our crossover to talk about Miles Morales in a few weeks' time. But make sure that you also follow the guys over at For the Players. Like Ryan, who is always on the Dash Game podcast as well, my co-host there. It would really help us immensely if you could help them too. So make sure that you head over to the Pop Cultures. Even on iTunes, give them a follow, give them a 5-star rating. That helps them out too. Yes, 5.
Sorry, I had to do the hand thing.
That's right. All right, Padge. No more dilly-dallying. Let's get into the news. All right, Padge. The first bit of news comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says PS4 sales pass 113 million units. Sony enjoys another strong quarter. They're raking it in, apparently.
It's time to just call it what it is, guys. PS4 sales, fucking huge.
Well, yeah.
End headline. Move on.
Sony's financials continue to make for healthy reading as the coronavirus pandemic has boosted the PlayStation business to stratospheric levels. The manufacturer's current flagship system, the PlayStation 4, shipped 1.5 million units in the 3-month period ending 30th September, meaning its life-to-date sales currently sit at 113.6 million units. That actually represents a significant decline in PS4 hardware sales compared to 2.8 units it shipped during the same period last year. Although it's worth noting that the console was somewhat supply constrained due to COVID-19. It's also been years since the system received a price alteration, which is something that the platform holder may consider once the PlayStation 5 launches this month. What were you going to say?
I mean, the rest is all just a little bit of financial stuff
Okay,
with the cash that they've brought in. But
yeah.
I mean, it's no surprise that obviously 1.5 million is down on last year. The fundamental difference is that this year, by the time this 3-month period started, we knew what the PS5 was.
Yeah.
We had a rough indication as to when it was coming.
Yep.
So the incentive to buy a console drops off significantly.
Oh,
you
yeah.
only get a few. You've got 1.5 million suckers. And myself, who got that. Well, remember I bought my new PS4 Pro to replace my old one, and turned a profit on it, so can't complain. There's very little incentive to buy a new box. Not to mention the previous quarter did explode because of all the COVID stuff and Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2 and Final Fantasy 7. There hasn't been the software incentives over the last 3 months
Well,
to actually warrant people to go buy the new box.
But that's the thing.
Or buy a box.
We're at the tail end of this generation. What is there? There is no reason to go out and buy a PlayStation 4 right now unless your name is Paul James and want to make a profit. But the thing is...
Among other reasons, sure, but yeah.
The thing is, unless, you can't get your hands on a PlayStation 5 for Christmas for your kids and everything, and they don't have a console, or it would be nice for PlayStation, first of all, to actually kind of, slightly decrease the price, give it a little bit of a discount now, as we head into Christmas period, so that, some parents may afford to buy a PS4 Pro for their kids, and at least have that over the holiday period. A lot of kids would love to play Miles Morales as well. But the general consensus is that people aren't buying these consoles right now because the new ones are coming. So
yeah,
it's just that's exactly what happens every generation. However, I will argue that this time in 2013, I was selling more PlayStation 3s than anything, and that was insane.
Yeah. But the PS3 had a good long tail as well. Like, it took a while to get going, and you had this little thing called The Last of Us that came out in 2013 as well, and GTA 5,
Grand Theft Auto,
Bioshock Infinite. Like, it was a year. Then again, we are getting that same sort of year this year. Last of Us Part 2 for starters, so there's a through line for both of those. Look, I mean, both consoles have ended really well. PlayStation always has good legs because not only does it sell, and admittedly these numbers are probably focused mostly on the quote unquote first world countries. But you've got a lot of poorer regions of the world that tend to like the console's lifespan is actually more than a decade typically.
Yeah.
The PS4 will still be selling very well in somewhere like Brazil, for example, for years and years and years. And so it'll always be worthwhile keeping it in circulation for PlayStation. Those numbers, like that 113 million will be 130 probably before it finally gets nipped in the bud.
Yeah. No, you're correct. To follow up on this one, Jordan Ollerman over at IGN says, PS5, Sony aims to sell 7.6 million units by March. Sony is aiming to shift more than 7.6 million PS5 units by the end of March 2021. As reported by Bloomberg, the Japanese company has surpassed analysts' expectations and raised its profit outlook by 13% ahead of the launch of the PlayStation 5 in November. This includes a plan to sell more than 7.6 million units of the PS5, which would be, quote, more than the PS4 managed in its first fiscal year, end quote. The plan was detailed by Sony Chief Financial Officer Hiroki Totoki during a quarterly earnings briefing held this week. We recently learned from Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan that in the US, Sony pre-sold as many PS5s in the first 12 hours as the PS4 did in the first 12 weeks of its pre-order availability. So that figure looks pretty achievable. Padge?
I mean, that last component, that's all an optics thing.
Yeah.
It depends on, like, you can pre-order out because you say, hey, like, we'll let you pre-order up until June 2021 if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Whereas the, sorry, as I knocked the mic there, whereas the PS4, when it first went on pre-order, it was pre-order for launch and then boom, it disappeared.
Yeah.
So like they're skewing the numbers a little bit based on how far out they're letting people pre-order. But it's still a very good sign. But based on their numbers, they're clearly all their pre-order numbers, they're clearly thinking 7.6 by the end of March is going to be feasible. They'll probably knock over at least half of that just through next week alone. And then we just march on from there once Thanksgiving comes along and Christmas rolls along, and just the natural sales that you get Jan, Feb, March as more stock becomes available. Like, it seems pretty feasible.
Do you think they're embellishing?
No. I mean,
you think it's not a forecast?
No, these are financial predictions too, so they are still upholden to their shareholders and stakeholders along the way. So they don't want to put too much mayo on it because
you don't think that
you get held to account by that. No, if they're projecting 7.6, they'll be projecting 7.6 and be fairly confident they're going to be there or thereabouts. Simply because if you project 7.6 and then sell 5, their shareholders are going to go ballistic. And not to mention also it gives the media a lot to grab onto. Oh my God, PlayStation's not selling. And all of a sudden you create an ugly message for yourself, especially when the Xbox will, whatever projections they've got, and presumably they're going to be less.
Yeah.
But they'll hit them.
Yeah.
And they'll be the messaging. The messaging for Xbox has been so good over the last 12 months. Not just the Series X, but even the tail end of the Xbox One. it'll just continue that little trend, and PlayStation doesn't want to get something wrong because they go, oh, well, we're going to shoot for 10 million. Oh, we sold 7.6? Shit. That doesn't look good. Even though it actually exceeds what Xbox sells, it's still not a good optical thing.
Yeah.
Because you expected more and you didn't hit it. So what they say is going to be fairly on the money, I would imagine.
How feasible do you think it's going to be to actually have access to an Xbox Series X compared to a PS5 before Christmas this year?
I mean, Xbox has seemingly done a better job on the manufacturing side, so I think it'll be easy to get an Xbox. Ignoring the popularity of the consoles, I think Xboxes will be rolling into stores at a faster rate than PlayStations will be.
Do we see it neck and neck?
No. PlayStation will still exceed them.
Okay.
They'll still sell more. The demand's greater. So you're factoring supply and demand onto that as well. And look, PlayStations will be harder to access simply as a result of that.
Okay.
What can you play? And this is one of my things that I mentioned, really highlighted in the latest patched episode this week.
Yeah.
What is there to play on Xbox? Like, it's third-party software.
It's a hard one because they got nothing.
Yeah. The Falconeer and that's exclusive.
And
I think.
what was it that got delayed today?
Something on Xbox got delayed.
Yeah, the exclusive. The horror exclusive.
The Medium.
The Medium got
got delayed.
Sorry, not delayed. Not delayed. Refused classification.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
At here.
Yep.
Oh, okay. They'll rectify that, but that's a bit different.
Yeah.
So you're playing either Bright Memory or the Falconeer. Bright Memory being a fairly old PC game. Or Gears Tactics, but that was also on PC. Like they've given people nothing to play. The Halo thing is a massive black eye for them.
Big blow. Blow.
And PlayStation in the meantime is rolling out with Spidey and Demon's Souls and Sackboy and not Destruction All Stars anymore.
How the Coalition haven't rolled out a Gears 6 for launch or a launch window?
No, that was never going to happen.
I know,
Gears
but
5
still,
only came out 12 months ago.
It doesn't matter.
That's never going to happen. They've got a DLC coming in December for that, but we're not an Xbox show, so
no, of course
whatever.
Not. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're the competition. We have to talk about them.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next one. Brianna Reeves over at PlayStation Lifestyle says PlayStation Malaysia support studio hiring for work on, quote, well-known and well-loved franchise. Oh, God, I hope this is not what I think it is. A little less than a year ago, Sony Interactive Entertainment announced plans to establish a support studio in Malaysia. Evidently, the development office opened its doors sometime this year as planned. As a support team...
Which, good on them, by the way. Given everything that's going on, you managed to open a studio.
Straight, yeah. As a support team meant to provide other Sony-owned developers with animation and art assets, it's no shock that hiring is underway for an animator. However, what will pique the interest of fans is that news that PlayStation Malaysia's animation team currently has its hands full with, quote, one of PlayStation's well-known and well-loved franchises, end quote.
Parappa the Rapper.
Don't do this to me, please. According to a job posting on Greenhouse, PlayStation Malaysia is currently in search of a cinematic and in-game animator. As noted above, the animation team needs someone new for work on, quote, a well-loved, end quote, PlayStation property. The listing, of course, doesn't specify the series in question. Thus, it could be anything from the recently announced, no, it's not God of War, come on,
no.
To the long-rumored, and hell no, I please do not Uncharted entry.
It is this.
It is not.
It is this.
Oh.
No, so, and as they kind of outline and I'm sure viewers can see the continuity of the sentence here, This game is in development at Sony San Diego. Keep in mind, this Malaysia team is still just a support studio, but they'll be gearing up to help San Diego because they're not overly experienced in this side of things. San Diego literally hired an ex-Naughty Dog animator just last week.
Okay, all right.
They are, and that's not the only ex-Naughty Dog person they've picked up. They are pulling people across that understand this franchise, and they've built already like a third-person action team. They're ready to go. And also, they do need to justify something a little bit more on the exclusive side as well, because now their bread and butter, MLB, is going to be shared across PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo going forward.
That's true.
They've lost that exclusivity, so Sony will want them to do something that's exclusive to PlayStation. Uncharted, when you pull in some X talent, why Uncharted or why the studio?
Why Uncharted? Look, Naughty Dog perfected Uncharted. Bench Studios, when they tried to do Uncharted on the Vita, it wasn't Uncharted.
I won't agree with you.
What are you trying to... It did not play... It played somewhat like Uncharted. It did not play like Uncharted.
I felt like I played like Uncharted. It was just there was some of the Vita gimmicks that was forced into it because of Sony breathing down their necks.
It's the most stiffest entry of the series. I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, but I think that's also constraints of the platform as opposed to
I don't think it's that at all
from the developer. I would say that I don't think it's got anything to do with the developer. I think that's the Vita as a platform causing some, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway.
Let's talk a little bit. What
we can't doubt the fact that PlayStation is going to bring back Uncharted, and it's not.
Well, no,
does it.
Let's talk about why. This one comes by way of Stephen Talby over at Push Square, who says, "Here's your first look at Tom Holland as Nathan Drake in the Uncharted movie. Things really seem to finally be going well for the Uncharted movie. By the way, this might be a little bit old, but I see it there. Friday, 23rd of October. The film's actually wrapped last week.
They're done.
They finished filming, but it was revealed. Here's the first screenshot of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. The film, which we've been covering for years, appears to be making meaningful progress." And we're starting to see some of that. Hot off the heels of Nolan North's visit to the set, the movie star Tom Holland has shared his first in-character image, and here it is. And there it is for our viewers right there. Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. I think he looks great.
Better than I expected.
Yeah, it really,
a lot better than I expected.
Same here. I expected them to butcher it, but he looks like a young Nathan Drake, man.
I mean, they've got one thing very wrong. Do you know what it is?
The watch?
Where the fuck's the half tuck?
Oh, good point.
But that's, who knows? Maybe that's around the back. Like Nathan Drake does not be look fully untucked. Well,
it is a trademark look. It is a trademark look. Yeah.
So that's maybe one thing they need to fix in post editing. They can do that pretty easily.
CGI half tuck.
Yeah. CGI shirt back in.
Before we move on, what are you expecting from this film? Like, you think it's going to be that good, or?
I'm setting my expectations at rock bottom so that I can't be disappointed. Yeah, and if it turns out it's excellent, great. You'd like to think after this many years, it's taken this long and it's gone through that many revisions because they were really desperate not to cock this up.
Yep.
And so hopefully that's exactly what's happened.
It's been in development hell since 2011.
I mean, Mark Wahlberg's Sully and that photo that's kind of done the rounds concerns me a little bit.
Yeah. You know what? No, it's not. He's not that bad. Did you see him on his Instagram
It doesn't look
post?
right though. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be a young Sully. If you put it side by side with the young
like
Sully,
what we see in Uncharted 3, but it's still just he didn't look right.
Give it some time; it'll flesh out.
Hopefully. Look, I want to like the movie.
Same.
It'd be great to have an excellent, like, really top tier, serious video game movie.
I agree.
Because the only really good video game movie we've had is Detective Pikachu.
God damn, and that hasn't even really been a good film.
That was a good movie.
A lot of people liked it. A lot of people
really
liked
good movie.
I was
also, and I don't know where things stand now, but it was only a few months ago that the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was the second highest grossing movie of 2020 because nothing else was coming out.
That says something.
Nothing else is hitting cinemas, and everything that's big, like say the latest James Bond, all being delayed.
Yep.
So
Sonic the Hedgehog
could be
2020.
the second greatest grossing movie of the year simply because nothing else came out.
Thanks, COVID.
What's number one? Number one?
Who knows? Moving on. This one comes by way of Shannon over at Press Start. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed again. Man, when I saw this go up, I was up, and you guys went to sleep, and I was like, man, they're going to love seeing this when they wake up. And
it was 3:35 in the morning.
It was, and when I saw that big yellow background and black text, I was like, oh, great. And that's now become the meme. Here, and Shannon says, just a few weeks after going gold, CD Projekt Red has announced that Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed yet again. The game will now release on December 10th instead of its November 19th release date. In a statement posted on Twitter, CD Projekt Red said that the biggest challenge was shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time, which requires testing compatibility of 9 different versions of the game. I'm not going to read the full statement. It's just too long for me to even bother.
They're apologizing.
That's all it is. It's they're covering their tracks again. And that's fine. They need to, because they're now at their 5th delay of the year. So this is like just... If they need the time, that's fine. They need the time. They've already explained that they're in crunch. They're in crunch mode. The game's gone gold. They have printed copies of the title ready to ship. They're just not ready to sell it because now we're going to be expecting a 100 gig patch on day one.
That's going to be crazy.
Give us your thoughts.
This is just so horribly mismanaged. This whole game.
Yeah.
The back end of this game, anyway. No, actually, let's say the whole game, because they announced this before The Witcher 3 even came out. Yeah. The whole thing's been butchered from the absolute beginning.
Oh, yeah.
The game will probably be excellent. I'd wager that it will be one of the games of the year. It won't be a Game Awards game of the year, because with this delay, it's now moved out of that window.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be excellent, but the journey to get to that point is just insane to me.
Well,
now,
they better hope it's excellent.
As someone who was a little concerned about the fact that it was coming out a week after the next gen launch, so I was already looking at Spidey and Assassin's Creed, and hell, I'm even half tempted by Demon's Souls, Sackboy, and not BUGSNAX, but maybe I'll play it because it's free. A whole bunch of other games as well. Like, I was kind of glad there was a delay here, and it gives me a bit of time to breathe. Because Cyberpunk, when it comes out, will just suck the oxygen out of the room.
Yeah.
But if you just focus on the game in a nutshell, in a vacuum, it's not very good.
No.
Things are not good at all over there.
It's concerning because the way I see it right now with just crunch mode and then going into a development hell almost for this entire year, because, look, we were promised this title back in April. This was supposed to be an April release.
That doesn't faze me because they did the same with The Witcher and like that.
Yeah, but
part of the problem is that they self-publish, and that's an issue that they have. I think they really need to stop
putting dates on these large-scale games. Is what I'm saying. When you're ready to release it, that's when you put the date on. Don't set your expectations for a certain like Naughty Dog learned their lesson twice now, and it's just
they'll keep stuffing that up because. Both of those studios are in the same sort of space. They work the same way. They crunch the same way. You're always going to have those issues, but the advantage that Naughty Dog has is that they've got a publisher above them that is able to detach themselves and look at the situation for what it is and go, okay, so this is the situation. Okay, so we're going to say this. We'll check in at this date. We'll check in at this date. We'll check in at this date, and then we'll make some decisions from here. And the problem that CD Projekt has is that they are their own publisher, so they can't see the forest from the trees. And so they set a new release date and they go, okay, that looks pretty good. Not to mention that we're in the midst of a pandemic and Europe is getting absolutely reamed by a second wave again. And I'm sure Poland, I haven't seen Poland's numbers specifically, but I'm sure it's getting bashed over the head over there as well. Oh, yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
So, like, there's so many reasons why you shouldn't just set a date that's like 2-3 weeks down the track unless it's done.
Yeah.
And I think it's a simple case that the higher ups, and whether the higher ups on the development side and the higher ups on the actual publishing side, because again they are their own publisher.
Yeah.
They're too close to the project.
Yeah.
So they can't see for what it is. They can't see what's going on, and they're trying to just shut out the screaming masses. And the problem is that there is a nugget within the screaming masses that is right on the money. It's like, just don't, as you said before, just don't slap a date on it. When you are done, when you are happy with it, tell us.
Yeah. Patch, the next one comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says, Ghost of Tsushima, a commercial delight beyond Sony's expectation. Which was kind of expected, if anything. Ghost of Tsushima has been a big hit for Sony, and as part of an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, boss Jim Ryan has admitted it actually exceeded the organization's expectations. Talking about the company's approach to acquisitions and expansion, he said, quote, "Let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima, which has been a critical delight and certainly a commercial delight to an extent that we didn't think it would be." Okay, I'm surprised by that statement. That speaks volumes to the work Sucker Punch has done to build on their previous canon of work, end quote. The game sold 2.4 million copies in 3 days, making it the fastest selling new intellectual property on the PlayStation 4, beating out the likes of Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone. Fuck Days Gone. And we know, I just wanted to get that reaction out of here. And we know the Seattle-based studio previously known for the infamous franchise, is currently recruiting for what sounds like a sequel. Okay, In Sucker Punch's defense, this is how I view Sucker Punch. You have Naughty Dog and you have Sucker Punch. They're on par with each other.
I wouldn't have gone that high, but at the same time, and this was an extract of a larger thing, and I've read the full thing. Jim Ryan was really derogatory to that studio. Like, he kind of implied they've been up and down, their form's been a bit patchy over the years. Well, like, mate, you took them in for Sly 1, 2, 3, and they were excellent. They then moved on to Infamous and Infamous 2. Excellent. Infamous Second Son, not of the same caliber, but still a solid 8 out of 10 in the eyes of most people.
Yeah.
First Light, same deal. And now Ghost of Tsushima, maybe your best, if not very close to it. Like, this studio hasn't put a toe wrong, and yet the way he made it out was as though they were like the 5th or 6th rung studio within their suite of studios.
I'd be offended.
It was kind of derogatory.
Yeah, I'd be offended working at Sucker Punch and hearing that. And the reason is...
oh, sorry, go on.
No, and the reason is, like, look at the caliber of title that they put out, right? And we're talking the same developer who bought us Infamous, a franchise that is beloved by PlayStation fans and devotees globally. It's a globally acclaimed franchise from the people who bought you. Once again, Ghost of Tsushima, Infamous, Sly Cooper. Like, how could you say something like, how, as the boss of PlayStation, could you say something stupid like that?
Not to mention your head of studios is Herman Holst, who's pretty close to a lot of these guys as well. Like, the whole thing seemed a bit weird. If he was talking about sales success, I could see that, because it was coming hot off the heels of The Last of Us, and that really did suck the oxygen out of the room.
Yeah.
I've used that phrase twice now, so I won't do it again. But I could see how on a sales side you might have that concern. It kind of copped the short shift because of the movements of Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And it just kind of was the can that kept getting kicked down the road. But in every other facet, give your studio some respect, Jim.
Yeah, that's...
Bellend.
Well, that's Sucker Punch, man. They're like I said, I look at Sucker Punch like they're on par with Naughty Dog. When you don't have a Naughty Dog game to release one, you only have Sucker Punch to release one. You should be thankful, because look at the caliber of title. Like, we did not have an Infamous game since the beginning of the generation right through. We don't have an Infamous game, but what I'm saying is we don't have a Sucker Punch. Yeah, we and that does hurt. I really wanted Infamous 3 with Cole.
Yeah,
we didn't get that. That's fine. They even said, look, we're interested in doing something else. And not only did they say, okay, we're going into new IP here, they bought their A game. And Ghost of Tsushima is, like, it's going to be considered one of the best of this generation, and if not, Game of the Year for this year, like, considered up there.
Yeah, it's definitely in that really upper echelon from the year. And again, this is a year that has The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. And you
eventually Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy and Doom. And, like, there's heaps of awesome stuff from this year.
Yeah.
And it's definitely in that conversation.
And you mentioned The Last of Us Part 2, right? And it's like, everybody... I feel like once this game came out, everybody kind of forgot about The Last of Us Part... Like, I haven't heard buzz about The Last of Us Part 2 since its release. It's like, everybody played it, okay, it's over. Ghost of Tsushima has had non-stop acclaim since its release.
Well, because it has kind of surprised people, and then obviously the multiplayer thing has just knocked everyone's socks off, and I'm filthy that I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Like, I've realized that I'm not going to get to play the raid because I heard the second segment's like 3 to 4 hours long. I don't have 3 to 4 hours that I can block out. Unless I ship the family out for the day.
Padge, the following comes by way of Heather Wald over at Games Radar, who says, Ghost of Tsushima sequel may be hinted at in a recent Sucker Punch job listing. So this is a follow-up to the last article. The job listing calls for a, quote, a desire to write stories set in feudal Japan, end quote. She goes on, a Sucker Punch job listing has surfaced, which could be hinting at a potential Ghost of Tsushima sequel. The job posting from Sucker Punch calls for a narrative writer to join its writing team to, quote, help create engaged narrative content for our upcoming projects, end quote, with a knowledge of writing character-driven stories within a, quote, AAA open-world game, end quote. What stands out most, though, is that one of the job requirements lists, quote, a desire to write stories set in feudal Japan, end quote, with an added plus of, quote, having a knowledge of feudal Japanese history, end quote. Both seemingly hint that another Ghost of Tsushima is in the project is in the works. So yeah, look, it's no secret that they would be working. They're trying to establish a brand new franchise out of this IP. This is something that, obviously, with the success, it would have either gone two ways. The success of Ghost of Tsushima would have led to a franchise, or Ghost of Tsushima would have been met with lukewarm reception, and then they would have went back to Infamous.
Yeah, quite possibly, or explored something different entirely again.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the success is awesome. The fact that they've got a writer, it's a shame that they weren't looking for the writer even a few weeks earlier. My man Jordan Lemos, who was on Dev Diary a while back, who worked on was a writer on the original game, has been looking for a job for months. He's just recently gotten one at Hardsuit Labs. But I'm sure he would have loved to have started work on a sequel there, especially with them being right in his backyard. But
they can still apply for it.
Well, he's already got his new gig and he's very, very happy. So
yeah.
So no issues there whatsoever. But look, I mean, it's not a surprise at all they want a sequel. I'm sure that was probably planned in the first place, certainly based on the way the game closes. It seems obvious that they, without spoiling anything, it seems obvious that they were gearing up for a sequel.
Yeah.
But they've also given themselves lots of flexibility with that.
Yeah.
Similar to how Infamous 1 ended. There's a choice, and that kind of gives them scope to do whatever. Maybe they'll base it on the trophies again. Who knows? Do you think it was, and I'm kind of going to spiral off you a little bit back to kind of gameplay aspect of it. Do you think it was surprising that they kind of didn't borrow the karma system from Infamous and place it in this? I mean, we know they considered it and they just opted not to, so that's fine with me.
Yeah. Padge, the next one comes by way of Nathan P. Gibson over at Screen Rant, who says Spider-Man Miles Morales won't feature other playable characters, which is kind of odd because I would have thought that Peter would have been a playable character in some part, but I believe it's a welcome piece of news because of what we discussed in our crossover episode with for the players. Make sure you
when
guys,
you're not playing as Peter, it sucks.
Yeah, make sure you guys go check it out. Check out our Operation PlayStation Cross for the Players special about Spider-Man on PS4. Please do. But Nathan P. Gibson says in his article, Insomniac Games has revealed that players will only take direct control of Miles Morales in the upcoming Spider-Man Miles Morales, and that there are no other playable characters in the game. The developer has begun to release more information about the standalone expansion in the run-up to its release in November, giving fans a glimpse of what they should expect from the title. Earlier this week, the studio detailed the differences between the two editions of Spider-Man Miles Morales. The game is set to release on both PlayStation 4 and PS5, with the next-gen version of the game having a few notable upgrades. This includes ray tracing to create a more realistic looking environment and haptic feedback through the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller. But the gameplay across both editions will be identical. An interview with Insomniac Games creative director Brian Horton has revealed that Miles Morales will be the only playable character, and it goes on from there. Look, that's cool. Like I said, we discussed it. We discussed playing as Miles and playing as Mary Jane was boring. Like, it was boring. It was one of the most dull parts of the game.
Well, when they stopped you from web swinging, that was the issue. So
well,
Miles here versus Miles in the original title, very, very different.
Oh,
Miles
yeah,
is
that's
going to be fantastic here because he's actually being Spider-Man.
Correct. But yeah, like playing when you're not playing as Spider-Man in the original, it takes away from its pacing completely. The pacing was rapid, it was fast, it was expeditious. You were on a roll and you were swinging through New York and you were enjoying that freedom of feeling like a superhero. But then when it's like, oh, you got to play as Mary Jane and the espionage action in this isn't that great.
Piss that shit off.
Yeah, and the same went with the Miles Morales portion of the PS4 game. It just not Miles Morales the game, Miles Morales on the original Spider-Man.
In the original.
It really offset the tone of what was really honestly groundbreaking, because we had Spider-Man titles in the past that attempted the web swinging really just didn't work. This time, they really did a great job. Insomniac delivered phenomenal action and rapid pacing, and it really built a tempo and a tone for what they wanted to deliver. But take it away from that rapid pace, you're bored. You just get nothing.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah. That's actually, to me, a piece of good news.
Like what you're hearing today? Be sure to follow all Dash Gamer podcasts on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify by simply typing dashgamer.com into the search bar of your favorite podcast provider. And don't forget to check out our gaming, anime, and pop culture related news on dashgamer.com. Now back to the show.
Padge, the following comes by way of Shannon once again over at IGN, and this is a good one. I like this piece of news. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is definitely a PS5 exclusive.
World exclusive.
World premiere.
Sorry, I just got my Jeff Keighley on.
Whilst we've seen a few games such as Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure come to the PS4 after initially being announced for PS5, Insomniac seems fairly confident in the fact that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart will only come to PS5. This was expected due to the fast loading of worlds that requires the SSD, but anything goes this generation. In a tweet, Insomniac replied to the user asking if the game would come to PS4, quote, "It's a PS5 exclusive." Yeah, I like this news. And the reason, look, not to take away, before I let you have this one, not to take anything away from PlayStation 4 users, but PlayStation 5 needs something heavy, something lofty, something bountiful to actually take a grasp of before, they decide, let's take everything away from PlayStation 4 users. Okay, Paige, you have the floor.
I mean, I just think this was super obvious anyway. As soon as we saw that gameplay, and I'm not talking about how it looks, because you can pare that back, and that's what we're seeing with Miles Morales. It's what we're seeing with Horizon Forbidden West.
Yep.
But what Ratchet is doing that's different to those is everything is built around the SSD and the fact that you can load in these worlds. Like, you can go through a rift and boom, it's there. Boom. Yep. And you can drop through like 3 or 4 of them in really quick succession. Yep. And it's just going to be seamless. And you couldn't do that with the PS4 simply because of how the hard drive loads up the memory compared to the SSD. Like, it's a technical thing that makes it completely unfeasible versus Horizon or Miles Morales, which you can pair them back and boom, it's the same game, because they're not doing anything that we haven't been able to play this gen. No. They're just going to look, talking a little bit out of turn, I'm sure.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
But they're not revolutionizing things. They're not using the technology in some way that's going to completely break the experience. The load times is going to be a little bit longer, or that sort of thing. The stuff that we're seeing from games that are going to straddle these generations now, like Spidey or Assassin's Creed or something like that.
Yeah,
the load times are a bit longer, or those smaller things that might irk a few people. But Ratchet is doing something different. Yeah. It's the tech involved in the game forces it to be a PS5 title.
Yeah, and I'm looking at some right now, like you mentioned, the ray tracing is on display right now. See, here's the thing too, it's gorgeous, right? The remake was great. Like, the remake was gorgeous on the PlayStation 4. However, this takes it to an all new level, and this really, you can tell they're pushing the envelope here in terms of what the PS5 is capable of. I can't wait to see it in action. They have confirmed it's a launch window title as well. When do you think we're going to be seeing this?
March or April.
Yeah, I'd say Feb.
Okay.
I'd say Feb.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. They might also be conscious of the fact that, unlike the PS4, they've rolled out a few of their own exclusives straight out the gate, so they might want to give people time to actually play them all. Mm-hmm. Whereas last time, what did we have? We had Knack, we had Resogun, we had Killzone. But none of those are like the length and scale. Like, I mean, Demon Souls, for those who are into it, it's going to command 50 plus hours. Spider-Man might be shorter than the original, but it's still going to, take you for at least somewhere in the teens. Miles Morales on its own is longer than Knack, Killzone, and Resogun. Like, so, and then you add Sackboy on top of it. Then you add Destruction All Stars, which they're going to drop, free in Feb. Well, that's not a news item tonight, but that's a PS5 exclusive as well. They've got a really nice suite coming out straight out the gate, so they might.
You know what else is coming out next week at launch?
BUGSNAX.
Oh god. Let's talk about that later. This one comes by way of Andrew Evans over at GT Planet, who says, Gran Turismo 7 releasing in, quote, first half of 2021, according to official PlayStation ad. According to an official PlayStation advertisement on YouTube, we have what appears to be confirmation of an early 2021 launch date for Gran Turismo 7. GT7's launch date has been persistent rumor for months. Initially suggested as a possible launch date title for the PlayStation 5. That date has wandered a little to, quote, launch window.
To be fair, we only speculated on that. It was never said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a rather diffuse phrase, which generally means within the first 3 months, but could mean anything up to 6 months after the hardware hits the market. Okay, look. Great, but there's a problem. If they aren't evolving Gran Turismo 7 beyond what they've already put out there, especially with the lukewarm reception GT Sport received, I don't know whether or not this title is going to have the expected turnover that they want.
Yeah.
I think it might be a disappointment.
No, look, I'll trust that it'll be excellent. The thing that they're doing that's savvy here, if all this is to be believed, they just need to get it out before Forza comes out for the Xbox. Because Forza has taken over. It's become the tentpole racing game, and the fact that they've had Horizon and Motorsport has really kind of overwhelmed PlayStation a little bit in that sense.
Sorry, PlayStation.
But if they can get GT7 out and give it time to breathe rather than get it out in the back end of the year, and the worry is that studio, Polyphony, is so fucking slow. They need to put a foot up their ass or lend some of those Malaysian resources or whatever the hell it is to that team to get this thing out as early as possible, because they don't want it out anywhere near Forza.
No.
They need to give it a couple months so that it gets its sales, it establishes itself, rather than wanders out there and gets its ass kicked straight away. Hopefully it doesn't get its ass kicked full stop. Hopefully it really kind of returns to the peak of the franchise. But if it's anything less than excellent, even by a fraction, then Forza's going to cave its little head in.
Yeah.
And because optically it's already it's now the big boy. So
there's a problem though, Pudge. And that is that Forza has established themselves as the dominant racing simulator on the market.
Well, that's why it needs to get out early.
Gran Turismo was the ultimate racing simulator. It says it on the freaking box, on the box art. The racing sim. The problem is now they're not, because the quality of game that they've put out there has not been persistent. They haven't upgraded their they haven't developed what they've promised. Every generation that's come after, Gran Turismo has gotten worse and worse and worse. The last good Gran Turismo game that came out was on the PlayStation 2 at launch.
Oh, look, GT5 was pretty good, but 6 was a big step back, and Sport as well.
Yep. And look, I'm praying that they've gone back to the drawing board with number 7, but something tells me, man, that it's just going to be the same stuff all over again. And
but then that's the simple thing again. If you get it out early, no harm done for PlayStation, even if it's a lesser title. If you get it out a few months early, they're okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about Destruction's All-Stars. This one comes by way of Shannon over at Press Start, who says, PS5 launch title Destruction All-Stars has been delayed and will now be free for PlayStation Plus subscribers. Now, this is something that I am happy about, because the price tag that was applied to this title, holy shit, like $120 for this game.
High five, man. We just saved $120.
Boom. Yeah. Hell no. Like, I don't know even what they were thinking. I'm not even going to read it. We know where it's coming. It's coming in February 2021.
For 2 months.
Yeah.
For 2 months.
Right. And the thing is, like, great. We've saved ourselves a couple of bucks. Or a couple of bucks. Almost a couple of hundred. On this kind of game. That's an insult. And we were talking before we started, and we'll probably go over it during the drop, about the amount of titles that are coming to PS5 with exorbitant fees applied to them because of the Aussie dollar tax. Like, it's funny. You can purchase a title from the US store. You're not supposed to, but you're actually breaking terms of service by doing so. but you can buy a title from the US store digitally and save money.
Yeah.
That is abhorrent.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But even at like the old price, this is not the right game for that model, for that traditional model. This is a $40 game, or what they're doing, where it's it's a multiplayer. Sorry, multiplayer. We're going to drop it on PlayStation Plus.
This should
try and Fall Guys
free.
it, try and Rocket League it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They did not read the room very well at all. They clearly saw the pre-orders. They weren't getting any, and they've pivoted and made a very smart decision to do so.
Yeah.
So hopefully the game, the game could end up being fantastic, but they just,
I hope so.
The way they were presenting it, we still haven't seen any decent gameplay at all. So no one was going to pre-order. No one's going to pre-order it for 120 Aussie dollars.
Yeah.
So try something different, and they have, and it should work.
It's like Rocket League crash test dummies, you know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. Like you said, read the room. Nobody's gonna... Upon gazing eyes on this trailer, it's too quirky to take seriously at all. And for anybody who want to slap down more than $60 on this thing, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think that, but... I do hope, like you said, that the title is great, because we'll need something in that in between phase, that dry phase of gaming.
I mean, I don't think we'll need anything, but
well, we'll have a handful.
It'll be a perfect fit for that window, though.
Yeah, exactly. Padge, this one is interesting because when the news broke for this one, it was actually from our friend Betson who gave us the news, and he went to pre-order one of these, but now. This comes by way of Stephen Talby of Push Square. It says, unofficial PS5 faceplate business cancels order after threat of legal action from Sony. Now, I could see this coming from a mile away. I remember when he actually gave us the news, and I said, how can they even manufacture these things? Because there would be so many patents and trademarks on those plates that 3D printers who would attempt to sell this online would probably have Sony's lawyers hunt them down with scythes, basically. But anyway, they say, Stephen Tulby says, this all went downhill rather quickly, didn't it? A brand new company was planning on producing and selling a variety of unofficial PlayStation 5 faceplates. It would allow you to change the look of your new console by replacing the white shell with the alternative color or patterns. It's clearly something people are interested in, but unfortunately none more so than Sony's lawyers.
Best way to put it.
Yeah, last week the business was forced to change its name from PlateStation to Customize My Plates, as well as remove all PS5 imagery from its website after the platform holder's legal team got in touch. However, Sony didn't stop there. It's now made the company seize all orders of the custom faceplates, else it face further legal action. Customize My Plates is now cancelled and refunded any orders from the team's patch. Thoughts?
Well, now all they're doing, and it's in the next paragraph there, all they're doing are little vinyl skins.
Yeah.
It's fine. As you said, it was fairly obvious this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Or something along these lines. I hope that it means PlayStation is looking to do these themselves officially at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to buy a whole new console to get your awesome God of War Ragnarok plate or whatever the case happens to be.
Yeah.
But if not, do what Betson did with his PS4, his Pro, for example. He took it to Ethernet tag mods and he got a axe stuck out of it. God of War axe hanging out of it.
Yeah.
Take the console's plates that you've got, get some finger paints out and start dotting away. Have fun.
Don't do that. Don't do that, because the heat on them will...
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
It'll cook the paint and make it smell like a freaking toxic yard. Don't do that.
Get someone who's professional and can do it the right way to do it. So, but you know what I mean? You can do it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not going to allow someone else to profit off us in that way.
Yeah. Look, for me... PlayStation, if they want to take down these people and say no, then release at launch black faceplates. That is all I ask for. Because as much as I like the new look and all that jazz, whatever, blah, 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 I'd rather keep my PlayStation all black. Because that's that's how I identify it. Since the PlayStation 2, I've identified the brand all black. And that's what I'd rather. But this is what they want to go with. They want to go with that white look, that futuristic look. and that Netgear modem look. That's up to them.
Yeah.
The final piece of news page comes from Robert Ramsey over at Push Square.
News of the day.
Oh, great. PS Plus November 2020 PS5 PS4 games confirmed. Do I have to? All right, fine.
I mean, no, we need to because this is okay, you and I don't really care for the headline act here, but this is a really good month of titles.
It is actually, so I'll read it. November 2020's PlayStation Plus games have officially been announced, and we must say what a month it is. As always, subscribers can look forward to 2 PlayStation 4 titles, both of which will also be playable on PlayStation 5. November's duo consists of Middle-earth: Shadow of War and Hollow Knight, 2 highly rated but very different games. Both of them will be available to download and play starting from this week on the 2nd of November. Now, Hollow Knight's an amazing title.
One of them, my game of the year from 2014, admittedly the worst year of this generation, but my game of the year from that year. The other, the best game to ever come out of Australia. So... pretty good month.
It is, but that's not all, Padge. If you're getting
please tell me more.
If you're getting a PS5, who was it who wrote this? Mr. Ramsey says if you're getting a PS5, you'll be delighted to know that the weird and wonderful
what is it, Robert Ramsey? What have we got?
BUGSNAX is joining the lineup. It'll be available to download on your next-gen console at launch. It's worth noting, however, the PS4 version of BUGSNAX will not be up for grabs. Sucker PS4 users. PS5. This is a particularly strong month.
This is them pumping their own tires up.
Yeah. We don't need to read this part. Look, fine. BUGSNAX is... Look, you know what? If anything, cool. BUGSNAX is coming out free for PlayStation Plus users. That's where it's supposed to be.
It is an unbelievably smart move for them to do this.
Oh, yeah.
BUGSNAX, whether we like it or not, is huge. The internet has really taken it and latched onto it. And it's actually... And I want to be clear because I've been betrayed a little bit on the internet through some of my actions on this show, but also Betson's really given me a bit... making me into a real pariah against this game. Matt Houston's doing the same. Apparently I hate this game more than anyone in the world. The game itself, I saw gameplay. I think GameSpot had like a 15-minute gameplay thing a while back. I'm like, okay, I need to watch this thing because I want to get a bit of a sense for it and like what's going on and at least be able to justify why I hate it. And I watched it. I'm like, it's all right. Like I don't mind it. Like I'm not gonna. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's good by any stretch. Like it's pretty basic. It looks to me like a solid 6 or 7 maybe out of 10.
Yeah,
but. It's what the internet has done with this game. It's the way it, and I was having a back and forth with a couple of people online at one point, and comparisons were being made in terms of what the internet's done with the game. People were making comparisons to Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
And my concern with that commentary, and there was other games that were also mentioned, and they're all kind of in the same sort of mold. My concerns with the way the internet had taken to BUGSNAX versus the way it had taken to, we'll use Untitled Goose Game in this case, is that Goose Game actually showed us what it is.
Yep.
And the internet thought it was hilarious.
And it grew naturally.
Is. And then, of course, the game came out and it fucking exploded.
Yep.
But I still remember going to the Nintendo booth, was it probably 18 months before it came out when it was at PAX?
Yeah.
And the queue was enormous.
Yeah.
And
it had organic growth.
Yeah. The thing about BUGSNAX is that what's driven this has been the internet stuff. It didn't show any gameplay. It didn't portray what the moment to moment was. People latched onto it because of a quirky, stupid song and a whole bunch of other bits and pieces like that. It wasn't the product that was actually standing on its own 2 feet. It was the soundtrack. It was the trailer. It was all this other stuff. And that's what drove me mad is because people are celebrating a trailer, not what the game was. We didn't see gameplay. So my tone has shifted on the game a little bit simply because I've now seen gameplay. I'm like, okay, as a game, it looks all right. But everything outside of it still drives me fucking insane.
Yeah.
And so I just want the game to come out. I want people we know that reviewers out there have already got it. We lodged a request and I saw some tweets from a few of the PR people over at Gen Pop. They're just being absolutely smashed at the moment with requests. So I'm sure they'll get back to me at some point. And I'll farm it off to someone else on the team to review because I don't want to touch that shit. but it could be good. Like, I'm going to give it a go, and I'm sure I'll have like a degree of fun with it. But at least I'll be able to play that and be able to isolate the game from the other crap.
Yeah.
And so I'll be happy when it comes out and we can just assess it on its merits as opposed to this other bullshit that's gone on.
Well, we'll find out in a week.
But the other games are awesome.
PlayStation.
Okay, Patch, thanks to the kind folk over at Turn Left. We were kindly provided review codes, respectively, for Player 2 and Dash Gamer for SAKUNA. God help me, what's the subtitle?
Of Rice and Ruin.
Of Rice and Ruin. I keep thinking of Ruin and Rice for some reason.
Close enough.
Yeah, there you go. SAKUNA of Rice and Ruin. Padge, you've played a little more than what I have of the title. I've only been...
Yeah, I'm good 15, 20 hours at this point.
I've only played for about a couple of hours so far. I only had you and Betson were kind of making noise about it, and I was like busy. I've been like under the pump with so many reviews and stuff that's under embargo at the moment. Actually, there is one more.
You didn't even realize it was a thing.
There is one more. Oh crap! There is
that we need to talk about today.
Yeah,
fuck that noise. Okay, all right. But let's do with SAKUNA right now.
Yeah. So, Padge, talk about SAKUNA of Rice and Ruin.
So this game, and again, we stressed this early on. This is preview impressions only. Full reviews will come out when they come out. Look forward to that. The game is out. Its release timing is not fantastic. I think November 10th. So Xbox launch day, November 20th for consoles. So unfortunately, it's going to get. Hopefully, it doesn't get lost in the PS5 shuffle.
Did we confirm that's November 20 physical?
November 20, physical and digital, based on the PlayStation Store.
All right.
So anyway, the game itself is this really interesting mix between like an action RPG. There's some little rogue-like-ish elements, and those two kind of you see getting paired together more and more often these days, and it's a really great effect.
Yeah.
But the third pillar of this title here is the farming sim kind of component.
Yeah.
Which it takes an hour or two before it really reveals itself. It kind of allows you to just explore the world a little bit and do what you need to do, and go get into some combat, fight some enemies, collect some resources, and then they're like, okay, now here's this homestead, and we want you to, you need to be able to fend for yourselves. You guys need to be able to eat each night to survive.
Yeah.
And the main character, SAKUNA, is a harvest goddess, and everything is like, and she kind of oversaw basically rice paddies and all those sorts of things. So that's exactly what you're growing, just day in, day out, rice. There's other things that you can kind of scrounge up from killing other enemies, and so you can bolster your diet a little bit more.
Yeah.
But the actual farming sim component is all based around this rice paddy and you trying to produce the best quality rice. It's not just about churning it out, like in a Harvest Moon title, for example. And Dorian Betson, I'm not shitting on Harvest Moon here, because I love Harvest Moon as well.
He'd kill you.
No. But like when it comes to Harvest Moon, it's just produce as much. Quality's not an issue. It's not a factor in the whole thing. It's just you've produced these tomatoes, boom, chuck them in the box and off they go. The shipping box and off they go. Here it's like it takes basically an entire in-game year for the crops to actually grow. Now each season is literally 3 days. They've really compressed the whole thing. But you're growing it out over the course of that 9 months really, because winter's a write-off. And it's about managing the weeds that are coming through. It's about managing the fertilizer, which there's a little funny sequence there where you realize that to place fertilizer you need to go to the little outhouse and collect everyone's shit. There's so many little miniature systems in place, and once the rice is ready, it's not just about, okay, now chuck it in the shipping box and off it goes. No, now you cut it all down and you've got to lay it on these racks for it to dry. It takes about a day or so for it to dry. Then you bring it inside, and I've forgotten the phrase for it, but you're basically stripping, it goes, I can't think of the phrase now, because as you can tell, I don't deal with rice paddies on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Threshing,
that's the one, yeah.
And so you go through that process as well, and there's little, I guess they're kind of QTEs that go through that process, but you actually go through the entire thing here. You can choose to handball some of those duties off to some of your little human companions that are there. Remember, you're a goddess. You can handball these things off to little human companions if you want, but the product is going to be lesser as a result.
Yeah.
So there's these little systems that you're kind of weighing up as you go. You produce the rice, you then that's going to feed everyone for the next year, I guess, ultimately.
Mm.
But at the same time, you're also going out into the world, you're exploring more. There's an overarching story. You're out on this island because these humans got into this like heavenly area, like her god base, whatever we want to call it, who cares? And the capital, basically.
Right.
And they kind of fucked up, and she kind of fucked up, and all their rice stores were completely burnt down.
Yeah.
And so they all get kicked out to this demon island, and like the punishment is, you're not coming back. I don't care that you're a goddess. You're not coming back until this shit's dealt with. So that's kind of the reason they're out there in the first place. And so you're dealing with this overarching story. You're exploring the island. You're trying to put this demonic presence back in its place while also keeping yourself alive. It's this really great mix, and it's so engaging. Like,
yeah,
I really can't get enough of it so far.
Yeah, so one of the things I've been appreciating about the title is how they kind of break the monotony of just being a serious anime adventure base game. There is dialogue between characters that take themselves seriously. Many of them, I'm surprised by some of the voice actors included, such as Patrick Seitz and Matthew Mercer and all that. I'm just like, wow. But also, and Laura Post, by the way, I'm just like, wow by some of the factors that are put in this. But then you have Sakuna, who's the protagonist of this, or the main character of this story, and she breaks the ice in terms of some of those serious moments with her. Really, like there are some deep anime tropes put into this for the central character, like a central childlike female character that, she's a brash, young, cocky, basic god. Like, she's a god, she's a deity that, can control some stuff. I can't go into it too much, but
no, that's fine.
Yeah, her character is different. And it's great. Like I said, it breaks that cumbersome feeling surrounding, like, oh, this is going to be one of those general JRPG kind of titles, and it's not. It definitely isn't. And so it really can't. It's honestly so far, like, giving off impressions, a great title that I can't wait to dive more into.
Yeah.
Especially given that, like, PS5 is out next week. I want to kind of play it on that as well when it does come out. Obviously, I don't know if there's gonna be any difference between, like, playing it on PS5 and PS4, but to get a little further on it, I'm gonna have to wait, generally because I'm trading more Pro in tomorrow. But it's just it's gonna be interesting when we can actually talk about it more in depth. That's for sure.
Yeah. So like I said, November 20 on the consoles. Yep. If you want to play on Steam, I believe it's November 10th. So you can look out for it there. There's going to be a lot more going up here, Player 2.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot to say about this game in full when I'm actually allowed to.
Awesome. All right, Padge, I did surprise you just now. There was one more, and I forgot all about it. This is a preview as well. Thanks to the kind folk over at Bandai Namco, I was able to get her early hands-on, and I haven't told anybody about this, early hands-on of Twin Mirror.
Right.
Yep, embargo's up tomorrow, so I'm able to talk about it now. Padge, this is incredible so far.
Okay, good.
I can't say anymore, obviously, because it's reviews, impressions, and you don't want to do that. Previewing the title and what I've played so far, the narrative is interesting. I'll put it this way: from what we had of Life is Strange, I can see where they went and kind of had heavy inspiration from kind of twisting and turning stories and manipulating the world surrounding you. And engaging with your protagonist, who's also part, I can't remember the name of the Sam. Sam is his name. Sam is our protagonist. But he has this apparition that follows him basically and guides him. Almost kind of like when a person has bipolar disorder. Or disassociation identity disorder.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
And, he guides him, basically. He tells him, okay, it's kind of like his conscience. It tells him, look, I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but this person is almost like a representative of him in his body, but something else.
I'm with you.
This is all I can gauge so far from what has been put in front of me. But the story itself and the way it shapes out, this is honestly, first of all, one of Don't Nod's best developed in-house titles in terms of presentation, like when I played Tell Me Why earlier this year, it was great. Like, don't get me wrong, there were improvements made from Life is Strange over to Tell Me Why, but Twin Mirror elevates that. The in-game models look incredible. The surroundings, the terrain design is remarkable. To tell me that this came from the same developers that developed Life is Strange, I would have been like, yeah, you damn mind, this is not from the same guys. The models in Life is like Life is Strange is one of the best games of this generation, but their model don't do that. But their models, the game model, but the character models in the game look like Play-Doh. These character models look awesome, dude. And I can't go too much into the story because I'm embargoed there. But from what they have presented so far, the game is great. I can't wait for people to actually play it. I know that it's out on December 1st, but from what I've played of it so far, oh man, God, let me tell you, this is going to be an experience. Not just a game, it's an experience. So I can't wait for people to actually get there. I can't say any more than that. My hands are tied. So make sure you guys check out Twin Mirror when it launches December 1st. I'll have a full preview and impressions up on dashgamer.com. It should be up live today. So make sure that you guys read that. All right, Paige, let's talk about Watchdogs Legion. Thanks to the kind folk over at Ubisoft who provided a review code. I know that you haven't had your hands on it. You're not that
I'm not really a Watch Dogs guy. The first one really put me off. The second one just didn't grab me.
Okay.
And the third, well, yeah, I know everyone kind of poo-poos on the first one, so I'm not alone there. But the second one just didn't really grab me. Tonally, the franchise just hasn't clicked with me yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I at some point maybe find the time or a cheap and easy way to get my hands on Legion, maybe I'll take it for a spin.
Yeah.
And maybe my tone will change. But tell me why you do or don't like it anyway.
Okay, so my impressions of it are that they really improved upon what number 2 brought. Number 1, like you said, everybody shits on it, and I'll be the first one to say yes, I fucking shit on that game hard. But number 2 really bought it, and when they improved upon almost every facet of what they developed for on 1, 2, 2, and then like almost having like their protagonist be interesting, because, you know, we know that the initial protagonist for the series kind of fell flat on his face. It was just boring.
Aiden Pierce,
yeah, and apparently he's playable in this one too, and I was like, I ain't playing that guy. Yeah, everything that they improved upon from 2 is here. Like, so there is new abilities such as like being able to control cars and the way they move. So you're able to remote control cars from your phone. So if a cop is coming towards you in a car like they're racing, you can use your phone to quickly have them almost in reverse. It's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, that's cool.
But almost taken into that tone, what I kind of compare it to would be like, you remember how Saints Row used to be at the start? It was very much like a GTA. And then kind of became a parody of its own self.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is where it's starting to go
down that path.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like Watchdogs Legion is just the beginning of kind of Watchdogs becoming Saints Row the 3rd or 4.
That worries me.
It kind of doesn't.
Only because Saints Row doesn't really speak to me either. Yeah. And if they want to be a parody of what Watchdogs is, which already didn't speak to me, that probably just pushes me away even further.
Yeah, I just feel like they kind of started turning that way into a little bit when they had a protagonist that wasn't that serious. And I can understand that they kind of broke the mold with that dark, sadistic character that they were trying to portray with Aiden Pierce in 1. And then number 2, they kind of had the jocular with their character kind of not taking anything serious. But with number 3, nothing serious. And the only thing that's taken serious is kind of like at the start, and then throughout the entire campaign, the characters that you portray and that you recruit kind of become almost like a bunch of high school kids that just like poking fun at the teacher. And I can understand where that's going and how they're doing that and why they're doing it. And don't get me wrong, it's still a fun game. It's still fun for what they present. The parkour elements are really impressive. The hacking has improved immensely.
Yeah, mechanically the game always spoke to me. It was just everything. It was everything else around it that just kept pushing me away. And the driving in the first one was shithouse.
Oh, yeah. Well, the driving in this one, I spoke with Leo.
I've heard it's still not fantastic.
Yeah, I spoke with Leo from Power Up about that. He wasn't too impressed about the driving. However, I was okay. I found it I almost found it akin to its predecessor, and I thought that the improvements made in Watch Dogs 2 in its driving mechanics were just fine. And I believe that Legion kind of improved on that too. My issue right now is that the missions and objectives that they've put forward are kind of repetitive. You kind of have to sneak into places covertly, hit a few people, do the objective, rush back to the person and tell them, hey, I completed this objective. Would you like to be recruited by DedSec? And it's like, this is over and over until you get to certain points where the campaign starts to progress.
Yeah, okay.
Is it better than Watch Dogs 2? No. Is it as good as Watch Dogs 2? I'd put it on par with it. But Watch Dogs 2 is still the best entry in the franchise. Still enjoyed my time with this title, don't get me wrong. I think, apart from some bugs, I had a couple of hard crashes of the game on my PS4 Pro. Apart from a couple of bugs and some graphical issues that I have with it, the in-character models look completely outdated and like Play-Doh. Other than that, just not... I had a really good time with it. I had a really good time with Watch Dogs Legion, man. PlayStation. All right, Patch. GHOSTRUNNER. Thanks to kind folk over at All Interactive. We're really getting through these now. Thanks to kind folk over at All Interactive who provided a review code. Did you guys end up getting GHOSTRUNNER?
Yes. Who was working? I think Sean did the review for us on player2.net.au, but I'll double check that now.
Just go for it. And while you do that, I'll
Pretty sure it was Sean.
I'll tell you about my thoughts. So take Mirror's Edge, and then take Shadow Warrior, put them together, and you have GHOSTRUNNER. It is an incredible parkour action title, dude. One of the best games to close. Like, honestly, if Mirror's Edge will always be one of my favorites of like the PS3 and Xbox 360 era.
Yeah, okay. By the way, Sean is still working on it, so the review is still to come.
Okay, there you go. Make sure you guys check that out and play too. But from this title, Mirror's Edge and Shadow Warrior is really the best way to explain it. You basically the basic elements of the gameplay. You run along walls and all the same stuff that you would do in Mirror's Edge. However, you wield a sword, you wield a blade.
I loved the game when I played the demo.
Yeah, dude, it is unbelievably well done, and some of the stuff they have, like in terms of just aesthetics, the way it's designed or the way it's delivered. Really, like, it almost makes me say, man, what the frick is the point of Cyberpunk when you've got like a title like this?
Them's fighting words.
They are fighting words.
It's coming for you now.
Now, look,
not the CD Projekt guys because they're too busy crunching.
It's not. Oh Jesus! It's not as lengthy. It's not a lengthy title. It's only around about 2.5 hours, depending on how you go about it. If you're a speedrunner, you'll complete this in under an hour. And that's honestly the intent here. This is sold for speedrunners. This is sold for those who love their Mirror's Edge and love to get through a game real fast and kind of, set those world records and everything. This is that game. However, I will say this game is a one-shot kill kind of title, whereas
it's brutal.
It's brutal, right? And it's very, it's risky. It's very risk-taking. Like, almost, you get hit once, you die. But that's the point of it, because you also slash an enemy, they die. It's almost like a bloody Mirror's Edge. And it's phenomenal. I can't praise this game enough of how they just overall developed and presented its pacing. It's very light on the narrative side, obviously, because you're pretty much just running the entire time. But man, the aesthetic.
The checkpointing was reasonable from my time with the demo. The checkpointing was generous. Not excessively so, but it was generous.
It was generous.
You are dying often. It is one hit kills, so they need to be to an extent. Yeah. But they seem to have found the sweet spot in my limited experiences with the game.
Look, the aesthetic is just freaking phenomenal, man. The whole cyberpunk theme that they have of it, and then like to incorporate what made Mirror's Edge special, along with what made Shadow Warrior great. I fell in love instantly, man. And yeah, this was one of my top titles this year. I gave it a 9. on Dash Game.
Oh, yeah,
because
good.
It was just freaking amazing. I've seen some 10s, I've seen some 9s, I've seen some 8s. It's very much up there.
The consensus is it's an excellent game, and certainly that was from my very limited time with it, that was my impression as well.
Yeah. So make sure you head over to dashgamer.com, check out our full review. Also, over at Player 2 when Sean gets his out as well. Padge, let's talk about Dark Creatures Little Hope. Thanks to the kind folk over at Bandai Namco. This will be our last review of the show, I promise.
Holy shit.
I know, right? Well, we're at the tail end of this generation, dude. That it's expected to happen. We're about to just get pounded with all these reviews. So, you played Man of Medan only about a week ago, you said, yeah?
Super recently, yeah. In like the last 2 to 3 weeks thereabouts. How does this one stack up? We've got the review on Player 2, and Jess did it for us, and she was quite positive.
Yeah, so I just completed the review as well. It's up on Dash Gamer. It's better than It's way better than Man of Medan, that's for sure. Buddy wrote our review for Man of Medan when it first came out, and some of the key differences. I remember playing it, and I thought to myself, man, the whole pirate ship theme bullshit that they have going on with Man of Medan right now just doesn't work.
I mean, the setting was kind of cool, but the fact that you like things are urgent, and yet I'm still just walking around like a Telltale game.
Yeah.
And the fact that I've fairly early on worked out what the hook was, why things were happening, meant that I didn't lose anyone. I never felt really threatened in that respect either.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping here there's more danger. Really.
There is. So yes, there is. It's well thought out and well structured compared to Man of Medan. I believe that they really kind of lifted elements from both Man of Medan and Until Dawn and put them together. This really did feel almost as good as Until Dawn. Not just there, but just kind of below it. A little bit below it, but way better than Man of Medan. The delivery, the acting, the pacing, the storytelling, everything was perfect. There was not a moment in this narrative, in this campaign, that I felt bored. And
good.
Also felt like any monotony was setting in whatsoever. There was nothing boring about this game at all. It really felt like you were sitting down and enjoying a horror flick, an interactive horror flick. You could see the point of it was obviously release it on Halloween and have, like, obviously with COVID-19 being around, it was like a struggle to have friends around and stuff. But the intent was to have friends around, sit down, get a bowl of popcorn, pass the controller around. Now you don't want to do that, but pass the controller around and...
well, if it's one person from one household for one time per day, you're fine.
But yeah, that's the point. It's an interactive popcorn horror flick, and by God, they did it really well for this one. And look, honestly, I thought that if you're going out to pick up... You have to play Man of Medan, that's the problem. Because to understand some of the story here, you have to play Man of Medan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There is a little bit, well, not completely, but if you
just
miss
some little nuggets.
If you miss Man of Medan, you'll miss some nuggets that are presented in this one.
Yeah, okay.
So the main question is it better than Man of Medan? Yes. Is it as good as Until Dawn? Not really, but they do borrow a lot from it.
But they're on the right track.
Makes it better. Oh yeah, it's the improvement overall. I don't want to... The problem is I can't really talk about the story too much because...
I mean, these things are just spoilers waiting to happen. So
I'll tell you just kind of like the start. So essentially what happens is Little Hope is a town based in New England that was notorious back in the 16th century for witch hunting and just, basically killing witches or supposed witches. What happens is a class is on the bus with their teacher and they end up crashing in Little Hope. And what happens is when they crash, they have this vision. They have this vision all of a sudden that comes upon the group at the same time of themselves in the 16th century, part of the witch hunting scenario of like killing some of the females within that group who are being
believed to be witches.
Correct. So that is the kind of the crux of this story, and what they want to do is leave Little Hope, but they also have to find out what's happening and why this is the case. You have a curator who guides you throughout the entire thing, and they tell you, okay, this is what we need you to do and what the goal is here. But yeah, essentially that is what Dark Creatures Little Hope is, man.
No, awesome. I'm keen to get to it at some point.
Yeah, it's great.
It's just one of those ones. time and place, and
Yeah.
I'll find a time eventually.
Thanks to the Bandai Namco for providing the review code on that one. All right, Padge, it is time for the last drop of this generation. Did PlayStation provide a drop?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
And of course it is a fucking big one this time.
It's
because
huge.
we've got all the next gen stuff.
Let's go,
we've got
Padge.
some PS4 stuff. Holy shit.
Let's go.
Right. All right. We've got Dirt 5, PlayStation 4, November 6th. It is, of course, getting a next-gen version that will then be out on the 12th as well.
Correct.
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, November 6th, PS4.
Yep.
Throwing this one in here for Ryan Betson. Paw Patrol Mighty Pups Save Adventure Bay, PlayStation 4, November 6th.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, PlayStation 4, November 10th, PS5, November 12th.
Yeah.
Yakuza Like a Dragon, November 10th, PS4 only, because we won't see that bad boy on PS5 until sometime next year. I think it was Feb or March.
Correct.
So that's kind of filling in that slot as well in a handy backwards way for PlayStation people.
Yeah.
Then the PS5 launches on November 12th, and we get Astro's Playroom. We get Borderlands 3, that's just kind of being ported across, really. Bugsnax, we've already discussed. Demon's Souls. Destiny 2 is making the jump. Destiny 2 Beyond Light. I think that's when the big expansion comes out as well, so they've synced that up nicely.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, one to pay attention to. I think there's a few people bundling that in the normal remaster category, but that's not how Devil May Cry Special Editions work.
Yeah.
You are getting a hell of a lot extra for this, so one to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah.
Then we revisit Dirt 5, November 12th. Fortnite is, of course, making the jump. You couldn't possibly miss the launch. Godfall from Gearbox Publishing, PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm. Tasty.
An all-important Ubisoft title, Just Dance 2021, PlayStation 4. It doesn't actually list PS5, but
And on Wii.
No,
it's not on Wii.
I think they've killed the Wii version these days.
Wow.
But the Wii did last longer than the Wii U version, so props to you guys.
Incredible.
Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, PlayStation 4, PS5, November 12th.
Yes.
NBA 2K21, November 12th. Observer System Redux, November 12th for PS5 specifically. Planet Coaster Console Edition, PlayStation 5, November 12th. The PS5 itself, as well as the discless version, November 12th. Sackboy Big Adventure, PS4, PS5, November 12th. The Pathless, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 on November 12th. Watchdogs Legion will get its port. We obviously just discussed the game in full there, so if you're interested, maybe go pick it up. Then on the 13th, because they're too big to release on the same day as the consoles themselves, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which I think a lot of people are forgetting simply because everyone's fussing about the consoles themselves. But the very next day, your annual dose of Call of Duty will come to PS5, PS4, as well as a million other platforms on November 13. And Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, so it's one of those little musical ones like Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm, coming to PS4 on November 13th as well. Holy shit.
That's a huge list.
And let me never have to deal with a list that big ever again.
Get prepared, because I bet you will. Before we do go, quick shout out to Betson, who almost freaking gave me a heart attack on stream right now. Did you get that message in the group?
Oh yeah, but I was able to, you were too busy dealing with the show, so I was able to have a good hard look and saw that it was very much superimposed. So well done, Ryan Betson, you legendary fellow.
You asshole, Betson. I swear to God, I'm going to get you one day. Guys.
But just for everyone that's watching,
I put it up on screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's very much a CG'd PS5 box sitting on his table.
Yeah. Bastard. Guys, if you didn't know, this has been Operation PlayStation-Gamer.com's dedicated PlayStation podcast, where we dive deep and dirty and discover what the latest and greatest PlayStation have to offer. We're only a week away from next-gen gaming. And I'm going to have to work out what I'm going to say in that intro.
And a week and a day from the real deal.
Yeah.
Sorry, Xbox, but you got nothing for us to play.
Jesus Christ, Padge. If you like what you've heard tonight, make sure you follow Mr. Paul James on Twitter at Paul James Games. You can follow myself on Twitter at @DashGamer. Don't forget to follow the show over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Give us those cheeky 5-star ratings, just like the PlayStation 5. They surely help us out.
It's getting real fucking hot in here.
And also catch the VOD over on dashgamer.com and on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that bell, give us a like, leave us a comment. I just want to also say thank you to everybody who has been watching. We really do thank you for engaging with us lately. The numbers have been insane on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for subscribing and hitting that bell and liking. That's the three things that have really helped us out. I've noticed that we got 300 likes on our Spider-Man podcast, Paul.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool.
So
That's pretty awesome.
thank you so much.
Dev Diary, you lot.
And please,
listen.
please check out Dev Diary. Please check out For the Players. Ryan and Paul, if it wasn't for these guys, I don't know what I would have been doing this year. So please, I beg you, please check out their content.
Got a rough idea, but I'm not going to talk about it on a podcast.
Shit. Guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you next week with the Dash Gamer podcast. Myself and Mr. Ryan Betson, and potentially this guy here will be live Friday night. And we're going to talk about Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, the launch week. It's going to be exciting. And we'll see you on Ops in 2 weeks. But until then, this operation is complete.
DashGamer.com